what in the secured, contained, protected fuck? You know me, I'm always trying to find some meme bullshit to post. But holy hell, that's a silly one, huh? What the fuck? Did I just... Okay, I had like a weird moment. That was weird. I heard that sound effect in the track, which I've heard this track before. That right there. I was like, is that a notification for like a program I've installed? What? What did I install? That's not Skype, right? I haven't. Who's calling me on Skype? Joel? Joel? Is that you, Joel? Joel, I'm streaming. I'm busy, man. So it's time to get back into some more SCP Foundation Wiki. What in the secure, contained, protected fuck? Joel, I'm busy. I'm busy, Joel. Joel, I can't get on Skype. I'm streaming right now. Joel, quit it. Yeah, Joel, I'm busy. Hey, Joel. Joel, I'm busy streaming right now. What the fuck, man? It's Joner. Joner's calling me on Skype. Okay, well. I sometimes I just gotta do that, okay? It's just like, it's one of those things, you know? It's one of those things. Anyway. It's been a hot minute, but we're gonna get back into this, actually. Believe it or not. It hasn't been a super hot minute. I did this again recently, but... I had to burp. That was, it took me like a year and a half because I had to burp. Sorry. Yeah, it's a quantum burp anomaly. Yeah, every single time you burp, a year and a half passes. That's just the level of shit that happens here. So I can't even fucking... Like, this could be a fucking anomaly. Joel, stop! Joel, quit it! Joel, it's been 50 years that we don't even use Skype anymore. The quantum anomaly where Joel doesn't fucking stop calling you on Skype. Anyway, enough goofing. Let's just jump right in. This is a certified Brent classic. I'm glad we got the certification unlocked already. Unlocked. Well, hopefully I can do this without pulling up Joel on Skype. I got this. I got it pulled up. Part of me feels like I should go classic sometimes, so the name of this crop pad is a mega fuck. Hey, welcome back to the main page of the wiki. As always, this is kind of like both an ASMR, like read-along stream, but at the same time, this is perplexingly like a themed experience. So I'm sorry, but you're gonna like the music. If you don't like it, you know, there's always like other people to check out that do the same thing. But it's just like it keeps me in the mood. I feel like it fits sometimes. It's quite good. It's probably a little loud right now, but anyway. As always, I like to do a random article before we get into it. So next is Hyperline. Incredible. Well, let's go do a random page. And while I'm doing that, how do I do this again? So I usually just like look up the article I need to go to. Let's just do it this way, huh? 201. Spoilers! What the fuck is this? Biggest anomaly using Skype in 2023. Not even the person calling you on Skype is the anomaly, it's just the fact that you have it installed and use it. I guess Microsoft gives it to you by default nowadays, huh? Snap, Crackle, Pop is the name of this page. It's not even like a number. It's not even a numbered anomaly. Okay, oh my god. Gah. The image, first of all. I try to describe the image. So Like I said, part of this is like a read-along experience, and also I describe stuff. Yeah, I kind of give my input too, but part of the description of if you're a viewer who is unable to see, or maybe I don't know, maybe you're hard of hearing and you use closed captions, whatever. The point is, this is meant for many audiences, so I even try to describe the image I see if there's an included image. I repeat myself constantly on this stream with this, but it's fine. Anyway, for the image, it appears to be... first of all, this looks like a fucking Borderlands villain. But it appears to be a very, almost mummified looking man. Appears to be almost like Silent Hill inspired. Very CGI looking. But if we could, remove... keep the veil there, or whatever, fucking remove the veil with our eyes closed. My guy looks like very creepy. He's got a very sallow complexion, but quite dark. So he looks dirty and ancient. Yeah, he's an old man, roughly 60. He's grimacing with a mighty scowl, a big smile. He's got glowing white eyes. It's mostly the... what would you call it? The pupil and iris, that whole area. Maybe the sclera, is that the right word? Everything else is black, surrounding the, primary part of the eye. There's not much to describe here. He's naked. He is very flabby. The further you go down, it doesn't appear like he has nipples. His body turns into just, goop. It's very, sludgy goop. It's just, bowled over, a sack. He looks like he used to be 400 pounds and he lost 200 pounds. But he's got a massive scar crack across his chest that splinters and becomes smaller. But it could be just the camera, or the effect or whatever, because the crack seems to splinter and go up his neck, then through his teeth, up his nose, along his jawline, so I don't know. There does appear to be some sort of scan line filter on the image. I mean, I've seen some Photoshops in my day, okay? I can tell by the pixels, dude. So it looks like a fucking CCTV image. The background is just really a rocky surface, illuminated, all illumination in the photo, in fact, including the subject, is from the bottom right, illuminating to back, top, left. The subject appears to be having a cloud of stench, or a bunch of dirt, or maggots or bugs or whatever, or it's a portal. He looks like he's coming out of a very odd black portal. Anyway. His head Germa as a goblin. Mega fuck sounds like a Terraria item. That's good. Yeah, that'll be my next Terraria item. This does not fit at all. A scary old anomaly, dirty old man coming through a portal? Yeah. Japanese animating and shit. He's grimacing because he just discovered what sex was. Man, he's 60 and he's been a virgin this whole time? My fucking god. Alright, let's read the article then. The cropping / padding is probably going to be weird for this one because I've never even seen an article in this format. Okay, there's a crack. There's a crack over the site-wide intercom system. A low whimper that built into a beautiful scream. Then the old man tilted his head to the side. They were playing his song. He could tell there were notes of fear and anger in that scream. A well-seasoned meal. The old man disappeared into the floor immediately. The researcher he had been chasing made it into the waiting arms of the rescuing MTF with a story that she'd tell for years. The old man came up from the floor into the chamber with the screaming man. If the old man had been paying attention, he'd have recognized the face as the containment cell he had escaped hours before. He'd have noticed that the door was open for the first time in years, but all the old man saw was fear strapped to the table. The old man grinned widely, his eyes wrinkling as he did so, and then the scream was cut short. The old man stopped and opened his eyes, and there in front of him was a stubby armed potato man with a painted-on face. The arms were wrapped around the meal's head, which was twisted at an unnatural angle. This thing had just interrupted his dinner. The old man finished emerging from the floor and felt an emotion. This thing had just interrupted his dinner. The old man finished emerging from the floor and felt an emotion he hadn't in a long time. Rage. Then the door slammed shut, and the whole room began to hum as the generators kicked back on. They were being magnetically lifted into the air again. He was trapped here, with no food but the stubby-armed man. As the machines outside began to apply layer after layer to the outside of the cell, the old man slowly walked over to this interloper and reached a hand out to its face. His hand didn't pass through as he'd expected. This wasn't flesh. It was hard like stone. And worst of all, he felt no fear from this thing. Excuse me, hold on. The spray paint bubbled away, but it still stood there, impassive, uncaring, staring into nothing. The old man turned away from it and looked around, and the thing was behind him. It twisted his neck. The old man's neck snapped, and he screamed. He turned his head around to look at the thing without twisting his body. Still impassive, still uncaring. He pushed his hand through it again. The concrete resisted him, but gave way eventually. When he passed through, it was hardly damaged. Again and again he passed through it. Again and again he'd make the mistake of looking away, and it would break another bone. They'd knit back together on their own, eventually, but the pain was real, and eventually, the fear was real too. The old man started to cringe away from the inevitable break, but as days turned into months, the concrete that made up the statue slowly broke down, crumbling away to reveal the rebar frame underneath. Most of the concrete found its way into his pocket dimension as he popped in and out of the world. When he was done, he surveyed his work, staring at it for hours. Its arms were just long pieces of rebar now, bent around the central frame. It wouldn't ever hurt him again. He began to slip into the floor, and as soon as he turned away, he felt the steel pierce his chest. He felt a rib break in two. Fine. He'd destroy the steel, too. Eventually, nothing was left but piles of rust, dust, and a memory of fear that the old man wouldn't soon forget. Tale, the Old Man, the Sculpture. This seems more, I don't want to just describe this to easy bullshit, but this is like the Portal Old Man plus 173. I hear about a statue that snaps necks and shit. And rebar? Yeah, he pulverized 173. Okay. He vented, dude, he's sus, my guy! Emerging from the floor just reminded me of Among Us. This guy is one of the original Among Us. Okay. He's one of the original sus Among Us. He's one of the first. Okay, the fucking Pepe Elden Ring anime intro bit. I need to make a compilation of that, but I don't know all the times I've done it because it's the first time I've played the game. So every a major landmark, I'm just I don't know. I have no clue what's going on. Every the dragon, yeah, who knows? There's part 52 already. All right, 201. There's an image. The description of the image says SCP-201 at recovery. The name of the image is 005.jpg. Fucking Sims music. I mean, it's good, but it doesn't fit. Sure. The image is kind of not monochrome. What's the word? Sepia tone. It's very black and white but brown tones. Maybe that's not right, but the image appears to be an old, probably before color photography, but around the time when maybe you could purchase a color camera. Probably 1920s, if I could just make a simple guess. You could see a rotary telephone on the ground. The photo is very badly marred. It appears to be It looks like a photo of a framed placard photo. Am I crazy looking at this? I'm zooming in. The rim of the photo appears to be some type of it looks like a metal bracket, and the actual photo itself was maybe blown up to a massive size, and we have the massive size reproduction on a table. But the odd thing is the photo itself looks very destroyed. So it's probably just like a very close zoom in if it's on a like metal surface. The fringes of the image give me that quality, okay? It's probably ever so slightly bent just from sunlight, pulling the thing out, not compressing it. But it definitely appears like it's got some type of bend. Very sepia tone, a lot of like monochrome, whatever. On the far left of the photograph image, it appears like the beginning of a banister for a staircase. The bottom, I don't know, fifth of the image is just a very dark wooden floor, it appears. There's like a trim against the wall with the same color. Maybe on the floor is a rug. It looks very dilapidated if that's the case. It does appear there's some sort of rectangular object. But if that's the case, below it then it's certainly like wood or something. This is so brown that it definitely affords the quality of wood. If that is a carpet, it's very, very old, or it's like a shag rug carpet that's just like not clean. And it looks like there's pieces of like the ceiling on it. Yeah, rotary phone over there, not too much to say about it. It's just a plain black rotary phone. You pick up the receiver from the horizontal top. It's got a dialer right in front of it. It's probably got a spool cable. The only notable thing is like a white circle in the middle for the dial. It's the only thing that stands out. On the far right, along what appears to be like the siding of the floor, it looks like there's just like a metal bar. The main article in the image appears to be an object which looks like a medical instrument. It looks like something that would, utilizing tubes, allow gravity to put a liquid into your veins, probably. Or using tubes allow the liquid to move, at least. There seems to be some sort of computer at the top. So that makes me think that maybe this is like 1940s. Either that or it's just some panel box. There's definitely a black box, rectangular, which appears to have some sort of dial. Maybe some other mechanisms that are shining in the light, or maybe it's just, you know, the light itself. It actually kind of looks like a voltimeter, what appears to be the panel. It's very small. Maybe like 320 by 160. The black box itself is strapped to two ceramic looking, or perhaps this could even just be a lamp. Two lamp casings. The lamp casings, as they are, they open at the top horizontally. There appears to be like an open surface, or it's just, you know, you can't tell. But one of them, it's absolutely empty up against the wall. You just can't see anything behind it. The other one on the left, it appears to be like more of its material, the like ceramic. Maybe it's like the top casing or something, but it appears to be slightly chipped or broken on the side. Very far left quarter. As we go down below the ceramic casing or whatever it is, there's a series of tubing network. It's not too much. It's maybe like 2 tubes splintered into 3 networks. At each branch of the network, which is horizontally in a T shape at like circular nodes, it seems to branch further into more tubes. The tubes make a U shape and seem to create a noose around back up to the panel box. As we go further down, it's kind of like just a glass tube itself. And what appears to be a lot of a tubing connected to the center of the main unit. with which appears to be a filter, or maybe a bunch of like stone, grain, something like that, which I would assume for a filter, or maybe just a bunch of object. At the base and bottom of the device, or whatever it is, there's a bunch of what appears to be washers, like a metal brace, circular with what appears to be maybe 6 equidistant areas where you would probably put those washer screws or whatever. And then as you meet the base of the object, it's sort of like a coat rack base. It's a horseshoe C shape, but it's very fat towards the vacuum cleaner like handle, as it were. That's the main shaft of like the subject device here. The only thing remaining up against the wall, it's just like a very plain white wall that looks degraded over time. You can see the shadow of the main object, which it appears the light is coming from back right. And top of the ceiling here, it looks like there's a little bit of scuff, like dirt or just further shadows. There's also top paneling, just very slightly visible. Just some degradation of the wall, like a major crack from the top left scaling down the wall. Now to describe the shit out of the image. It's fucking perfect. This is Polaroid camera quality. I miss the era of Polaroid camera photos. This is why describing the image ain't always so great. Item number 201. Object Class Euclid. Special containment procedures. No personnel are to come within 40 meters of 201 at any time. Any and all work done with 201 is to be performed via a remotely controlled drone. Any personnel entering the containment area must be accompanied by 2 members of security. All personnel in containment area must wear a restraint harness with safety rope attached to the wall. Rope will allow access to within 3 meters of the minimum safe area. Exceeding this distance will result in physical removal from containment area and formal discipline. Those affected by 201 are to have time and date of exposure, disappearance, and return, along with any and all personal information recorded in log blank. Subjects who reappear are to be recovered as soon as possible by agents and debriefed immediately. Not sure what era of the Foundation this is, but debriefed could mean anything here. Description: 201 appears to be a very old piece of medical equipment, superficially resembling an IV stand, with many other glass and metal items attached to it. 201 stands in 1.8 meters (6 foot) tall and has a mass of 36.5 kilograms (80 pounds). The metal portions are made of steel and brass, and various parts are connected with rubber tubing. The 2, quote, IV bags are porcelain and are open at the top. There you go. 201 was recovered in blank hospital, in a long unused storage area. No record of 201 appears anywhere in hospital records. Entering within 30 meters of 201 can result in the subject being displaced into an alternate reality. This effect is apparently random, with some subjects remaining totally unaffected after exposure to 201. Those affected will cease to exist in our reality between 1 and 48 hours after initial exposure. Durations of displacement vary between a few hours and upwards of 8 years. Time spent in this alternate reality can vary greatly from actual time elapsed in our reality. This alternate world appears identical to our own, with these exceptions. Bullet. It is apparently in a state of constant twilight, with no sun or moon visible at any time. Bullet. Large banks of very dense gray fog travel very low to the ground. These fog banks are unaffected by wind and can make exposed skin feel very sticky and dirty. Bullet. There is no plant or animal life anywhere. All places of human habitation, including major cities, appear as if all life suddenly vanished in the same instant. Bullet. Most, if not all, electrical systems appear to be broken or without power. bullet. The air will randomly take on a gray-brown tint, accompanied by strong wind. Subjects displaced to this alternate world report initial surprise and curiosity, which are shortly replaced with very strong feelings of loneliness and fear. The severity varies widely with individual subjects and with time of displacement. Upon the end of displacement, subject will reintegrate from this alternate world to our own, which can cause a great deal of shock, especially in urban settings. Most subjects who remain displaced for more than 3 months suffer lasting psychological damage, consistent with being sequestered within solitary confinement. Submit Level 4 over 201 login credentials. Quantum Displacement IV Scanner. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Oh, unrelated, but I've done more research for my Madotsuki Halloween costume. Hey, that's awesome. 40 meters. The fuck is this? The elephant foot? Beware spooky medical equipment. Credentials accepted. Well, we are O5 compatible right now. We're like at least that level. In addition, reports of intermittent fragmentary broadcasts have been returned by subjects attempting to repair power to media devices such as televisions and radios. It is unclear if these are real or the product of the degraded mental states of those remaining long enough to complete said projects. But reports consistently resemble automated messages prepared by the Foundation in contingency for XK-class scenarios. Testing will commence if viable samples can be recovered. This straight up links to 2935. So there's an article about a frequency about XK-class scenarios. Huh. Well, we'll get to this one at some point, I'm sure. What the fuck? See, this just links to the alternate reality. So, okay. Alright, well, let's move on to 202, huh? Shall we? That's pretty good. I didn't read the tags. Hold on. Didn't read the fucking tags. This shit just reminds me of the entity from Dead by Daylight. Who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Euclid Extra-Dimensional Medical Spatial Tool. Okay. 202. 202. Wait, what? That's pretty cool. Just OBS overlapping. Item number 202. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. Research is being conducted on 202 at Bioresearch Area 12. Here, researchers are actively seeking to understand and cure the condition plaguing 202. He is granted full amenities of Level 0 personnel quarters when not being examined. 202 is under the assumption that he is in a hospital and is not to be made aware that his doctors are in fact SCP researchers. Description: 202 is an Asian British male, 41 years of age, who performs all actions in reverse. He does not appear to age in reverse, but speaks, eats, walks, and performs all other actions opposite to what is considered normal. 202 speaks in reverse English with a British accent. Recording his speech and playing it backwards at 1-to-1 speed allows for normal communication. The subject asserts that he was a normal individual living in Stockport, England, until he woke up one morning 4 years ago and found that every action he attempted to do he did in reverse. He pledges that no matter how hard he tries, he's unable to carry out normal patterns of motion. He also claims to be unable to explain how he's able to walk backwards through crowded halls without bumping into others or other inexplicable acts. Yeah, this just like reaffirms the paradoxical theory of like, you know, there's so many theories in this, but like somebody just casts like a fucking super science magic spell that goes like, oh yeah, you always do everything backwards. And because it's so advanced, like we'd never figure it out. It's just like a little glitch. It's a cheat code. You can apply to fucking anything. This guy's just always backwards now. He's a backwards man, Okay. Watching 202 is particularly frustrating to Foundation biologists and physicists. Rather than acting as a pump, the chambers of his heart act as vacuums, pulling his blood towards the heart in arteries and pushing it away in veins. 202 actually exhales oxygen and processes carbon dioxide. Researchers are fervently seeking answers to how his respiratory system works and if, on the molecular level, the Krebs cycle of metabolism could possibly run in reverse. Okay, so this raises a lot of scientific questions. His eating habits confound researchers as well, as food comes up from his stomach and out his mouth and undergoes a reverse chew. For example, when eating a sandwich, 202 somehow regurgitates a bolus of food, then reverse chews into a portion of sandwich. Boluses are added from 202 into a complete sandwich that defies laws of both physics and biology. The resulting sandwich is completely normal and edible, according to research. 202 claims that he isn't aware of what he's going to eat until it starts coming. As for waste, when 202 needs to data expunged, see addendum. Okay? Doing the guy blinking, moves his head back and forth. 202 does not think in reverse and cannot foresee the future, as some personnel believe. He is rather good at Rubik's Cubes and enjoys dismantling jigsaw puzzles. Hey, Snow, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I'm sure you'll enjoy this. Addendum, direct order from Commander expunged. We're not having any more discussion about what happens when 202 goes to the bathroom. I think we can all paint a pretty picture of what goes on in there. The damn scientists can't explain where it comes from, and neither can the plumbers, so let's just leave it at that. The poor man has enough problems. Give him the courtesy of a little privacy. Till the quacks can come up for a reason to study it, I want all data on the topic expunged. That is very mature, but also it's... I don't know, maybe it could be integral to the biology. Yeah, at this point, though, it's just paradox. Because the man is in reverse, the universe has to meet these standards. So I think this guy's on the right track. He's like, it's inappropriate because we already know. Until research can reach the point where we can flip the bit on this guy and fix him, we're not gonna fuck around with the poop going up his ass. I'm sorry, but I had to say it. Backwards Man Gaming. The entity takes killers and random people into their realm, and they do infinite trials of cat and mouse to appease it, I guess. Something like that. That sounds like a few objects, actually. Alright, item number 203. Object class Euclid. Special containment procedures. 203 is to be kept in Storage Bunker 3A at Research Facility Double Blank while powered down. 2 D-Class personnel equipped with sound filtration equipment are required to guard Bunker 3A in case of accidental activation of defense mechanism. While active, 203 is to be accompanied by an armed escort to any testing procedures. Description: 203 appears to be at one time have been a Caucasian human male of indeterminate age. Subject is 2.5 (2.5) meters tall, though it is theorized that the skeletal framework augments subject's original height, as indicated by irregular musculature, and weighs approximately 200 (200) kilograms. The subject's entire skeletal structure has been removed and replaced with a mechanical framework made of cast iron that seems to move on its own volition. This framework appears to be the sole cause of 203's ambulation, independent of its musculature. Several areas of skin on the subject's body have split, revealing a section of the subcutaneous metal framework. Footnote 1. This and the presence of suture scarring indicate the augments to have been surgical, rather than the organic components being grown onto the metallic structure. See Anatomical Analysis 203 Aleph for further details. In addition to these areas, some parts of the metal structure seem to have been made to intentionally protrude from the flesh, seeming to form an aesthetic pattern. Footnote 2. While it is merely speculation at this point, some researchers believe these additions to be ritualistic in nature. Okay. The augmentations to the subject's body include, but are not limited to, bullet. The fingers have been extended into sharpened barbs, approximately 1 meter long. Bullet. The lips have been removed, revealing that 203 lacks a jawbone, suggesting that the skull is a single hollow piece. Remaining oral tissue has been tied into the skull with several hook-like protrusions. In place of the mouth, a small audio transducer-like grate has been welded. This augment produces basic vocalizations through an unknown mechanism. Bullet. The vertebrae have been replaced with a segmented iron bar, which has several sharp barbs haphazardly welded to it. Bullet. The legs have 2 added joints, making them appear functionally digitigrade. What? Digitigrade? I've never seen that word. Digitigrade. So, digitigrade. Digit meaning multiple calculi, the like fingers or toes. So digitigrade of the grade having digits. I'm assuming referring to the toes. Yeah. Meaning that this part of the body was probably made to act like legs. It's not just like a fucking coincidence. It's probably like feature made so it's done to act like legs and also like resist shit like legs. Bullet. The legs have 2 added joints, making them appear functionally digitigrade, with steel tubes of an unknown function, protruding from them, executing and tying into the back. Bullet. The rib cage lacks a sternum, causing the skin to pull inward with contraction of the subject's diaphragm. Bullet. Ears removed, remaining skin stapled together. Eyes locked together. Footnote 3. Note that subject has displayed superhuman oral acuity despite this fact. Okay. It just lends further to the fact that hearing is kind of like silly in evolution and in nature. And I guess in like fucking engineering. Bullet. Now, I'm not saying like fucking robotic, but I'm saying like fucking weird bioengineering. Bullet. Expunged, removed. Bullet. All toes removed, replaced with a solid piece of iron, vaguely resembling the metal insert of a steel toe boot. The heels are augmented with similar metal inserts. Bullet. Eyes have been retained, but are held in the forward-facing position by several needles protruding from the eye socket. Irises seem to be permanently dilated and not photoreactive. It's fucking horrifying. This Hellraiser-ass motherfucker. While lacking vocal cords, 203 can communicate verbally through the transducer located on its faceplate. It appears to understand English to an extent, but its primary language appears to be a previously unknown Arabic dialect. 203 has no recollection of a life before its augmentations, only that it feels near constant pain and confusion. 203 appears to run on an internal power cell that runs for a 72-hour period, after which the subject enters into a state of hibernation that lasts between 3 and 4 hours. Subject cannot deliberately deactivate this power source, though it has expressed that these periods of sleep are the only escape it has from its otherwise miserable existence. As there is no current way of ascertaining the truthfulness of the subject's statements, any expression of pain or depression by the subject is to be viewed by staff as a method of eliciting a sympathetic response, and are to be dismissed. That's sad. X-rays, CT ultrasound, and all other forms of diagnostic imagery. Footnote 4. Quite obviously, 203's metallic nature precludes the use of magnetic resonance imaging. Can't fucking say that. Magnetic resonance imaging. X-rays, CT, ultrasound. X-rays, CT, ultrasound, and all other forms of diagnostic imagery have proven incapable of penetrating the internal workings of 203 deeper than the subcutaneous level. An exploratory surgery activates a secondary defense mechanism that redacted. It has recently come to light that 203 has the ability to emit a high-frequency drone, superficially similar to audio feedback, that has a severely damaging effect on the human nervous system. However, this mechanism is only activated when subject is provoked or harmed. For more information regarding this ability, see the attached testing log. 203 has, on numerous occasions, requested either anesthetics, analgesics, or on occasion, narcotics. These requests are pending approval. Show testing log. It just says hide testing log in case you want to fucking hide it. Digitigrad definition of a mammal. Walking on its toes and not touching the ground with its heels as a dog, cat, or rodent. Okay, digitigrad, it means, okay. Yeah, the balance of the mechanism is on the digits. Is. I see, thank you. This is the guy Medic TF2 operated on that he was telling Evie about. Fuck does Euclid mean? It's the type of class scheme. How dangerous it is, or like how not dangerous it is. So Euclid is pretty dangerous. The patient woke up, his skeleton was missing, and the doctor was never heard from again. Once 203 finds a gun and coins, it's all over. Yeah, he's gonna fucking kill God. Test format. Subject, blank. Presiding researcher, blank. Method of induction, blank. Result. Time after exposure, blank. So it's just like a fucking boilerplate for the first one. Subject, personnel D-104. Presiding researcher, NA. Meaning no answer. Method of induction, accidental. 203 is struck by D-104 when it refuses to enter storage. When defense mechanism activates, D-104 continues his assault and forces 203 into containment. Result: 1 minute after exposure, subject experiences a severe headache. 15 minutes after exposure, subject's headache increases in intensity and his ears begin to bleed. 203 continues to screech. Note: D-171, the other guard on duty, is not affected by the sound. 20 minutes after exposure, subject leaves his post and checks himself into infirmary. 30 minutes after exposure, subject experiences seizure. Subject is now bleeding from all extremities. 35 minutes after exposure, subject begins to yell, "Shut it up," repeatedly, though he is no longer within audible range of 203. 40 minutes after exposure, subject flatlines. Post-mortem reveals that subject died of a massive cerebral hemorrhage. Subject, personnel D-090. Presiding researcher, Dr. blank blank. Method of induction. Subject is locked in cell with 203 while being observed via remote cameras. D-090 is equipped with a taser and is told to use said weapon on 203. Subject is reluctant but complies. 203 begins emission of defenses 30 seconds after provocation. Result: 1 minute after exposure, subject becomes agitated and assaults 203 again. 203 continues emission and assumes fetal position. 10 minutes after exposure, subject begins holding head and ears and nose begin to bleed. 203's defense mechanism continues. 25 minutes after exposure, subject experiences seizure. 203's defense mechanism appears to cease. However, later analysis reveals that the frequency of the emitted sound has simply moved beyond the human range of hearing. 35 minutes after exposure, subject begins vomiting blood and bleeding from the eyes. 40 minutes after exposure, subject appears to be dead. Emitted sound genuinely ceases. 44 minutes after exposure, 203 stands and moves towards the body of subject. 203 then begins to surgically remove subject's skeleton. At this time, 203 is removed from cell and put into storage. Note: test seems to indicate that 203's defense mechanism is also a method of producing more 203-like entities. Further tests in allowing 203 to continue this process are being considered. This legit sounds like fucking war TARDISes. It just emits the Banshee circuit and fucking kills everything. Its power isn't that it can time travel, it just kills. Like, it's just the ultimate weapon type of bullshit. Addendum Interview Log 203-1. Interviewed 203. Interviewer Dr. Blank. Begin log. Double blank. Blank. Quadruple blank. Blank meaning single blank. 3:34 p.m. He's gonna ultra kill God. I was going through my photos and I saw the postal dude we out of tires help. Fucking love that. I showed that on stream too. From here on out, Dr. Blank will refer to Doctor will refer to Dr. Blank. So Dr. Blank, I saw you've requested to see the video footage from the test last week. 203, yes. Doctor, any particular reason? Pause. 203, eyes do not see, happens beyond. Lost in the black, like time of silence, and does not know what they do. Doctor, I'm not sure I understand. You lose consciousness when your defenses are triggered. 203, yes. Doctor, and you wish to know what you did to your assailant. 203, after the black, we see only after. Within the black, our body is only the tool of unintelligible, possibly Arabic. Doctor, why do you want to know this? 203 is silent for several minutes. Doctor, 203? 203, they think us a thing. They think us something to watch. Garbled, sounds like we are a toy. But even with the evil inside me, one talks to us as a man. Doctor, I'm sorry? 203, you, double blank. You talk to us like we are not metal. You call us by name. 203 makes an unidentified sound, possibly laughter. 203, when nobody hears, you call us by name. You call us Edward, like guards say, Edward Scissorhands. Doctor, becoming distressed. That would be unprofessional, 203. 203, you call us Edward, and you say you care, and you will help us. Doctor, this session is over. End log. Closing statement. Dr. Blank Blank has since been denied access to observation of 203. Breaking the rules. The doctor was breaking the rules. Closing statement. I'm gonna read it again. Auditory cognitohazard, Euclid, humanoid, mechanical, sapient. Love this, but it's lyric. This thing can definitely punch its own shotgun pellets. This thing's fucking crazy. Not only can it talk, but it's like a fucking genie. Or it's like powered by a genie. It's like a fucking metal toy. With the fringes of consciousness. It wants to be treated like a human being. I don't know, I switched back. There's no image here. Alright, 204. Item number 204, Object Class Keter. Special Containment Procedures 204-1 and 204-2 are to be kept in a 10 meter by 10 meter fortified holding area in site double blank. The holding area must be constructed out of armor-plated steel and heavily reinforced concrete. The holding area must also be vacuum sealed and contained within an outer shell with a higher air pressure that must always be maintained, with at least 2 psi over the current air pressure in the holding area. At least one full security team must be kept on standby at all times. Time for the next SCP. The Hull 106 Get Goofy. That's fucking awesome. I love the Goofy movie so much. It is a wizard, it is. Edward. Edward! Edward! No, not again. It is only during 204-1 scheduled feeding times that D-Class personnel are allowed to enter for the purposes of maintenance. 204-1's typical diet consists of any kind of meat, preferably from living subjects. Such subjects will often consist of aggressive animals such as wild dogs, bulls, or any other animal that must be euthanized due to aggression. However, D-class personnel will also suffice if such food sources are unavailable. Let's go, we got there. I was literally going to say that. We were alluding to that anyway. 204-2's diet consists of a regular human diet with no special measures required. 204-2 is allowed to make special requests, but any and all requests must be given O5 approval. Any personnel caught attempting to deliberately provoke 204-2 will be immediately terminated. Security personnel are required to ignore any and all of 204-2's attempts to provoke a response from them unless there is a clear and present risk of containment breach. Failure to do so will result in harsh administrative punishment. When 204-2 is about to turn the age of 14, the Foundation must initiate Containment Protocol 204. Further details may be found in Containment Protocol 204 requirements. In the event of a containment breach, EMP generators must be immediately activated in order to keep 204-1 disabled. Once EMP generators have been activated, security teams have approximately 30 seconds to neutralize 204-2 before 204-1 can adapt and reassemble itself. If containment cannot be achieved in this time, 204-1 must be contained by conventional means. Security teams and agents are authorized to use any conventional weaponry at their disposal. If containment cannot be achieved at this time, if containment cannot be achieved in this time, 204-1 must be contained by conventional means. Security teams and agents are authorized to use any conventional weaponry at their disposal to contain 204-1 and 204-2. If 204-2 is terminated during containment, then Containment Protocol 204 must immediately be initiated. Is that like a fucking time paradox? Description: 204-1 is a semi-organic nanomachine colony that follows 204-2 as a form of protector. 204-1 spends the majority of its time in a dispersed cloud, where it is almost impossible to perceive with normal human senses. However, if 204-2 is put into danger, or if 204-2 commands it to, 204-1 will instantaneously materialize into a solid, physical form. The exact shape and nature of this form is subjective, depending wholly upon 204-2's view, state of mind, and imagination. Despite its variable nature, 204-1 has a number of common traits. These include massive strength, large size, basic intelligence, perfect obedience to 204-2, and the ability to regenerate itself after consuming living flesh. 204-1 is vulnerable to conventional weaponry and can be temporarily forced back into its dispersed state if enough damage is inflicted. We're fucking pulling out rockets against it. Got like nanomachine child. 204-2 is always a child, ranging from 4 to 14 years old. Physically, there is nothing outstanding about 204-2 besides its ability to call upon 204-1. All incidences of 204-2 have common traits. All of them have had a history of abuse and danger, with many developing acute mental disorders as a result. This makes instances of 204-2 difficult to contain in any traditional manner, as great care must be taken to keep them in a stable state. It appears that 204-1 is attracted to such children, though why or how it finds them is currently unknown. If 204-2 is terminated or reaches the age of 14, then 204-1 will abandon it and find a new child to imprint on. As a form of self-preservation, if 204-1 cannot find a suitable child, it will immediately materialize and go berserk, attacking anything in sight. Once 204-1 finds a suitable candidate to protect, it immediately imprints upon 204-2 and will follow it until 204-2 expires or until 204-1 decides to leave of its own accord. At first, 204-1 appears benign, protecting 204-2 from overt threats. However, through careful study and observation, it has been noted that all incidences of 204-2 begin to adopt much more aggressive, danger-seeking behavior with little regard for human life. It is theorized that 204-1 is able to manipulate 204-2's thought processes in order to behave in a fashion that would benefit it. It is assumed that since 204-1 requires organic flesh for sustenance, it needs 204-2 to be in danger in order to justify its activation. See Addendum 1 for further details. So this sounds like Mags from Phantasy Star, first of all. Second of all, this sounds like a high future concept. This is like a future world. We don't want to take care of our kids anymore, so we decide from the ages of 4 to 14, nanomachines will take care of the children. Cool, but it's like, why does the nanomachine freak out? So, my theory is kind of whack, because this thing's still silly. Check your DMs, Bren. I swear it's relevant. He just says Goof Troop. The only other thing is fucking Goof Troop. The nanomachines. Germa has escaped containment. SCP-985-J has breached containment. All staff are advised not to be amazed by his yoinky splanky, or you may face instant vaporization. Stand by. Hold on, what? Is that fucking yoinky splanky Germa? Is Germa pulling the fucking yoinky splanky? He's yoinky splanking, dude. Germa has escaped containment. Huh? That's fucking amazing. He's doing power poses, and every power pose does more and more damage. The first one ultra stunned them. They could have lived, but they would have a horrible life. The second one killed them. The third one vaporized. They were vaporized. They were completely fucking vaporized. Oh my god. Thank you. That's fucking great. Germa just vaporized. Apparently D-Class can be part of the MTF squad, so I don't know. He just vaporized D-Class MTFs. Beware SCP-985-J. Addendum 1. There have been numerous recorded instances. Addendum 1. There have been numerous recorded incidences where it is believed 204-1 has been involved. The first such recorded incident was when a car was found in a residential street, completely torn apart and covered in partially devoured human remains. Similar incidents occurred until agents managed to track 204-1 to blank, where they made contact with the first recorded incarnation of 204-2. It took 3 more attempts and numerous casualties before 204-1 and 204-2 were successfully contained. Interviews with 204-2 revealed that it seemed to feel a need to experience danger, such as standing in traffic or provoking hostile responses from others. When questioned on its reasons, 204-2 simply replied that 204-1 allowed it to. It's kind of like flawed future technology. We wanted the nanomachines to take care of the babies, but to power the thing we needed flesh. And we just assumed we would fill seed ships full of babies after they're we have like an operator to take care of the very young ones. Once the seed ship lands, we send the babies out into the wilderness with nanomachines and they just kill whatever the fuck automatically. And they'll just grow to be strong. We didn't account for this to get into society. This is like a terraforming thing. This is for spacers. This isn't for colonists, this is spacer tech. We want to go into Asimovian. Containment Protocol 204. In order to keep 204-1 successfully contained, it has been necessary to keep a permanent stock of candidates to replace 204-2 in the event that the current one is terminated or abandoned. Ideally, all candidates should be orphans below the age of 10, with a history of abuse. However, in times of need, Article 12 of Containment Protocol 204 may be authorized to allow candidates that don't meet specific requirements. They will be put under the supervision of caretakers, which will consist of D-class personnel convicted of violent crimes, child abuse, and pedophilia, with Foundation staff present to prevent inadvertent termination of candidates. Holy fuck, this is one of the most fucked up ones I've read. So we have an article in place to prevent like a mass casualty, but it involves like harming kids. That's awful. Ugh. Footnote 1. To date, Article 12 has not been enacted in any form. Well, let's fucking go! Good! My god! Holy fuck! If 204-2 successfully reaches the cut-off age of 14 years and 204-1 abandons it, the former 204-2 must undergo a rigorous amnestic treatment and a thorough psychological examination before being reintegrated into a government foster program. If it is deemed that the former 204-2 cannot be successfully reintegrated, then the subject must be immediately terminated. Addendum 2. As of the writing of this report, the Foundation has contained 13 instances of 204-2. 11 instances exhibited the trademark hostile and violent behavior typical among all instances of 204-2. However, 2 instances of 204-2 showed a marked improvement in their mental health and stability and had the lowest number of containment breach attempts. It is currently unclear what specific factors trigger these differences in behavior, as the exact mechanism 204-1 uses to manipulate its host is still unknown. Addendum 3. Though there is evidence to suggest that 204-1 may be sentient, or possibly even sapient, all attempts to communicate directly with 204-1 have resulted in failure. Currently, the only feasible method of communicating with 204-1 is to use 204-2 as an intermediary. Unfortunately, the violent tendencies and hostile behavior exhibited by nearly all instances of 204-2, as well as their questionable mental stability, make this approach highly unreliable. What the fuck? This just makes me go back to like a Metal Gear Solid. Child soldiers. Like, this just sounds like a fucking cursed program. Holy fuck. Once again, I double back to what I said. This is one of the weirdest, most cursed ones I've read. Biological, humanoid, keter, microscopic, self-repairing swarm. The Foundation goes to fucking crazy odds for everything. That's why I said earlier when we say, like, decommission or debrief or whatever, yeah, that just means kill most of the time. Usually it just means they're killing. I'm in studio art for this year of school, and now I want to do a comic of germo-vaporizing Foundation guards. No, I'm so sad. I'm so sad SCP-985J no longer exists. Was that actually a page? See, I was expecting it to still exist, but I didn't expect it to be like that video. 205. Item number 205. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. 205-1 and 205-2 are contained within Chamber 52 at Site 23 under regular observation via the adjoining observation room. 205-1 and 205-2 are to be supplied with power and face the white projection screen on the wall opposite the observation window at all times. Chamber 52 requires monthly maintenance to ensure the continued operation of both SCP objects, their power supply, and remote activation controls. Replacement parts and bulbs are kept on hand in the chamber. Maintenance is suspended during the final month of the 205 cycle, occurring in April and October of each year. Should power to Chamber 52 fail, it is to remain dark and sealed for a period of 30 days before local security enters to re-engage power for continued observation and containment. During maintenance, it is critical that only one of the 205 pair is ever turned off at a time. Should both objects lose power or otherwise cease normal operation, the chamber must be sealed for a 30-day period before local security may enter to re-engage power and retrieve the remains of any personnel lost in the chamber. Pending 05 review, testing and observation is to continue before 205 is to be moved to permanent storage. Description: 205 is a pair of flood lamps used in photography. The light emitted by each lamp behaves in a manner unique to 205 and passes completely through any surface that it is not colored white. I think I've heard of this one. Once the light contacts a white surface, it scatters and reflects as normal and loses any unnatural properties. If the light continues uninterrupted through any matter, otherwise casting no shadow, each lamp will display an unidentified young woman's shadow upon any flat white surface, such as the projection screen in Chamber 52. Whether or not this shadow corresponds to anyone living or dead has yet to be determined, although the shadow appears to reenact a specific series of events leading up to the woman's death. Even if the lamps are slightly moved, the shadow remains distinct and does not lose focus or move along with the one lamp or the other. Only one shadow is cast, although a physical person standing before two lamps would actually cast two shadows. When supplied with steady power and maintained, the 205 pair will go through a 6-month cycle that ends on April 30th and October 31st of each year. Neither the inclusion of an extra day during the leap year nor intermittent operation failures change these dates. Thus, 205's cycle appears to be tied to the standard calendar rather than a set passage of time. 205 will shut off at midnight on the final day of each cycle. Any persons entering or already inside Chamber 52 when the lamps are both turned off are violently assaulted by forces unseen in a manner consistent with the fate suffered by the Shadow Woman, regardless of any other light sources in the room. If the lamps are shut off at the end of a standard 6-month cycle, they can be remotely activated to immediately end the danger and begin a new cycle. If the lamps cease operating for any other reason, Chamber 52 will remain dangerous and must remain sealed for at least 30 days regardless of the status of 205 itself. During a dangerous phase, any equipment in the room is often ransacked, but although 205 itself has sometimes been removed, during a dangerous phase, any equipment in the room is often ransacked, but although 205 itself has sometimes been moved, the lamps are never damaged. On 2 occasions, data expunged were carved into the walls. This strongly implies that data expunged, displaying an awareness of current containment procedures. Well, fuck. It was a real page. There's a fucking Germa SCP copy pasta. Oh my god. Overview of 205's cycle. For the first month of operation, 205 will display a still image of one woman in a provocative pose. Although variances have been noted in the pose and clothing of the woman, the individual displayed appears to be distinct and consistent through all cycles. During the last week of the first month, the shadow will begin to move slightly, as if the individual is shifting her weight or becoming uncomfortable. Her hair and clothing will be observed to flutter in ways that do not correspond to any movement of the atmosphere within Chamber 52. By the end of the first calendar month, the shadow will break her pose and spend the next 8 hours moving through a series of poses that imply a photography session complete with clothing changes and short breaks, sometimes including a meal. After this session is over, the shadow will constantly be in motion for the next 5 months, displaying a pantomime of the last days of a young model's life before she is brutally murdered at the end of this cycle. The shadow of the woman never moves beyond the boundaries of the projection screen. The shadows of objects that the woman appears to be interacting with do not appear unless they are being picked up or carried, With the exception of the final month of the cycle, any other individuals that the shadow appears to be interacting with are not seen. Although the cycle is slightly different each time, certain consistencies are observed. The individual portrayed appears to have taken up photography as a hobby in addition to being a fashion model. Her behavior implies a great deal of social interaction, although with a lack of intimacy and behavior that indicates living alone, rather than with family or a partner. One implied sexual encounter with an unseen partner occurs in the second or third month of the cycle, and exactly 66 explicit sexual encounters occur in the final month of the cycle. During the last month of the cycle in April and October, shadows distinct from the young woman are displayed. These shadows all have exaggerated nude male physiques and horns projecting from the cranium, although no phallus is ever observed, even during these sexual displays that take up the final days of this cycle. Only one shadow appears at first, interacting with the woman in a manner suggesting that they have met at a party or social gathering. The woman does not appear to notice the unusual nature of the other shadow, and plays out a series of varying romantic interactions with it. The horned shadow will return to dine with the woman, engage in silent conversations, and accompany her on outings. One recurring event involves the horned shadow introducing the woman to at least two other identical horned figures. After the second week of the month, the woman will take photographs of one or more of the horned shadows during one of their outings, always with a non-digital camera that has been consistent through all observed findings. After the second week of the month, the woman will take photographs of one or more of the horned shadows during one of their outings, always with a non-digital camera that has been consistent through all observed viewings of the 205 cycle. After this event, explicit sexual encounters will begin between the woman and one of the figures, increasing in intensity and frequency until the end of the third week. During the final week of the month, the woman appears to develop the film in her camera for the first time since photographing the horned shadows. Parentheses on the us. Her reaction to the photographs is one of shock and horror, and her movements afterward suggest that she attempts to flee and seek shelter behind a locked door, presumably in her home. There she is encountered by multiple instances of the horned shadow figure, which assaults her repeatedly for the remainder of the week. It is strongly implied that she is killed during this process, although the assaults will continue until the end of the cycle. On the last day of the cycle, one of the horned shadows begins to grow larger in a manner suggesting that the figure casting it is approaching the 205 lamps directly. It will eventually overcast all other shadows, and at this time, both lamps will be physically turned off, regardless of any modifications made to prevent a halt in operation. Addendum 205-1 has been in the Foundation's possession since double blank quadruple blank. 205-2 is identical in every way, including the serial number. It was discovered in a ransacked motel room in blank on single blank, double blank, quadruple blank. No sign of the identity or whereabouts of the occupant have been found, although a camera similar to the one displayed in the 6th month of the 205 cycle was also recovered. Most of the contained film was ruined by exposure. See attached photo for the one image that was developed from the camera. Incident 205-76B. On 10-28- quadruple blank, 205-2's bulb burnt out. Researcher M.N. blank was sent into chamber 52 to replace the bulb during one of the climactic assaults. Upon the opening of chamber 52's door, All horned shadow figures within view ceased their activity and turned towards the door. Researcher N. Blank resealed the chamber and refused to enter to perform maintenance. Shadow figures did not resume their usual activity for approximately 3 hours. Incident 205-77A. On 4-28- blank, 205-2's bulb exploded. Shadow figures all ceased activity and looked towards the chamber door. No staff were dispatched to replace the bulb. Chamber 52 sealed and abandoned for 30 days according to procedure. This almost feels like a quantum murder mystery object. Like, who knows if it's still happening or if this is just locked so many spirits in it that like it's a play that we just keep looking at or whatever. Appliance, Euclid, humanoid, light, shadow. It always feels like so many people died this way because people kept killing this way. And so it was recorded in the memory of these lights. Who knows what happened with like the bulbs exploding? I don't know if that's like, all of the actors that are doing the killing, they get like a fucking quantum parallel like fucking vibration. They get goosebumps. Or it's just like they look back and they actually see the fucking researchers. Who knows? 206. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. As 206 is currently unable to be secured, an information suppression plan has been put into effect to conceal its existence. Frequencies known to be used by 206 are to be monitored, and all images relayed to Earth via other probes or satellites deleted from non-Foundation assets after they have been retrieved. Technology and astronomy websites, journals, and periodicals are to be monitored for discussion of the rover or the receipt of unusual photographs. See document 206-AA12 for a complete list. Persons who become aware of the existence of 206 are to be administered amnestics. Update 30-11-20- what the fuck? 20 dash what? Update 30/11/20 As orbital observation of 206 has proven possible, agents within satellite and aerial imaging organizations are directed to keep watch for instances of 206 and remove the images concerned. Deployment of image corruption cover story suggested. Description: 206 is a Martian exploratory rover. Designation: Invictus. Launched on 12/8/20 as part of a joint Russian Space Research Institute / European Space Agency effort. Exact object specifications are listed in document 206-AA1. Despite a successful launch aboard Soyuz FG rocket, telemetry data was lost on 16/01/20 roughly halfway to Mars. Attempts to re-establish communication failed, and on 10/2/20 the craft was declared lost. I don't know why I'm reading it like this. On 08/06/20 a day after Invictus was planned to arrive on the Martian surface, a connection was established with ESA flight control on the rover's assigned frequency. Before terminating at the source, 38 photographs were transmitted, appearing to show views of the expected landing zone in the Victoria crater. 3 days later, a further batch of 11 images was received, showing a drastically different location, later determined to be in the Cydonia Mensae, roughly 2,500 kilometers due south. The Foundation was informed of the incidents by operatives at the ESA shortly thereafter, and moved to investigate. Containment procedures were instituted on 21/06/20 when ESA Control received a batch of 5 images, showing panoramic views of the Martian surface, apparently taken from its satellite Deimos. How the rover, which as designed is rated at maximum speed of 90 meters per hour on flat ground, traveled between these locations is currently unknown. Demos Demos. 206 contacts Earth sporadically, utilizing its original channel, data redacted. Once a connection is established, it uploads a number of images in varying formats. Pictures received do not always correspond to the hardware originally installed on Invictus, though the signature and session initiation packets match those programmed. Tracking stations have received a total of quadruple blank images. A large number of these images, parentheses, roughly 38%, appear to have been taken on Earth, or worlds similar to it, differing in some detail. The remaining photographs seem to have been taken on or in the region of various celestial bodies, only a small percentage of which are currently identified. Periods between transmission vary considerably. The shortest registered to date is 26 hours, the longest 511 hours. Despite visual confirmation of the existence of something resembling the rover, see Addendum 206-1, no trace of it has been found in the received images, even when the scene includes a reflective surface. Further, a number of photographs show locations exceedingly difficult, if not impossible, for a rover the size and shape of Invictus to access. Addendum 206-01. At the time containment procedures were instituted, it was unknown whether the transmissions originated from the probe itself, or if an unknown entity had simply co-opted the frequency and was impersonating the rover. However, on 13/08/20 206 transmitted a photograph of what was identified as a portion of a lunar ranging retroreflector. Nearby orbital assets were retasked to survey the relevant regions, revealing tracks closely resembling those a rover the size and shape of Invictus could be expected to leave. On 30/11/20 Japanese lunar orbiter Selene captured the vehicle itself during a camera calibration session over the Copernicus crater. 4 hours later, 206 uploaded a new image showing a view of the same region. Since then, 206 has been captured by several satellites in various locales. See Sighting Log 206. Addendum 206-02. Though 206 generally uses data redacted, on at least 5 occasions images have been transmitted to or via civilian or military space assets. No connection between the image sets in question has been found. See Incident Log 206 for more details. Archive of images sent by 206. We actually do have real images. That's fucking cool. Okay. We have a lot of fucking images. There's a lot of images. There's a lot of images. Okay. Archive of images sent by 206. Date, number of images, description, images. It's a table. 07/06/20 number of images, 38. Description. The image sent appears to document 206's landing on Mars. Image 1 shows a view of the Victoria crater looking to the northeast, from approximately 3 kilometers above the surface. Images 2 to 37 show the same region at continually decreasing altitudes. Image 38 seems to have been taken at ground level, roughly 500 meters southwest of the mission's intended landing point. 10/06/20 number of images, 11. Mars, Cydonia Mensae. Images, data lost. So, same thing for the last thing. 17/06/20 number of images, 5. Description, exo-atmospheric view of Mars. Based on the alignment of celestial bodies in the local cluster, the image was taken from Deimos. Data lost. 210620 double blank. One image. The first single image set showing the rear of the Spirit rover, which was at the time traversing the Gusev crater. No anomalous readings or images were reported from Spirit. It's the first image 206-1.jpg. It appears to be a rover on the surface of some type of celestial body. I'm going to try and go a little faster with my descriptions here. Nothing seems anomalous here. It almost looks like Rob the Robot. Okay. The image is in black and white. Okay. Next one. 070720 double blank. One image. Ruins of the Temple of Mars Ultor, Rome, Italy. This is the first image sent by 206 that shows a place on Earth. The second image, 206-2.jpg. It's a color photo. It's a very small resolution. I am scaling in as much as I can. It is very, very blurry, but it does appear to be a photo of potentially Rome. Just looking at this, there's a blue sky with a little bit of clouds. There's a lot of architecture. There is some walkway path. There's what appears to be like columns or pillars. There's some grass. I can't really discern much of this. There's a lot of like weird structure there. Let's go. Okay, 1308, 20 double blank. One image. Single image showing the top left portion of a lunar ranging retro reflector, later identified as belonging to Apollo 15. Image displays qualities consistent with being taken by a Hasselblad 500 over EL data camera, a device not fitted to Invictus. Well, if we're saying this is a Hasselblad camera that took this, and none of those were out in space taking images of this, then there you fucking go. That's anomalous. Very hard to describe, but the bottom right of the image, it looks like a Doctor Who TARDIS interior wall. A bubble-lined surface. Looks like metal. The background of the image, again, is like some celestial surface. I see what appears to be a footprint. Looks like, you know, just dirt. It's probably a rover. You can see a shadow at the bottom left. And towards the middle of the image, 3 times, actually, at all areas of the image, you can see pluses to indicate the type of camera or maybe a photography method. I'm not even sure. Okay. 290820 double blank, 7 images, various views of Mount Rushmore, South Dakota, USA, data lost. 0110 20 double blank, 1 image. Stern portion of a sunken ship. Letters LSTN are readable. Data lost. 1412 20 double blank, 1 image. Racetrack Playa, Death Valley, USA. Image shows the trace of one of the sailing stones. That's interesting, haven't heard of that in a while. Judging by the lower part of the image, as well as the stone's trajectory, the image seems to have been taken from one of the sailing stones. Data lost. 070220 double blank, 1 image, 29 boxes with light bulbs. The place was not actually determined. Judging by the doors, it's a subway entrance in one of the northern hemisphere cities. Okay, 206-4.jpg. It's a color photo. It appears to be maybe that or just a bunch of eggs. It seems like in the background towards like the back second out of fifth. On the top of the image, there's 2 individuals walking in black clothes. Maybe one of them's wielding a briefcase. On the far left, it appears to be maybe a house. It seems like windows. It is a lot of brown boxes with what appear to be eggs. On the far right, there's like a trail of ice or like sidewalk and then a lot of snow or something. If it is light bulbs, they appear to look like eggs. Lots of varying colors, not just all white or anything. 110220 double blank, one image. A metal construction of a humanoid figure on a horse-like four-legged creature. Both the rider and the horse seem to be composed of multiple small details. Image2.jpg is what it's called. It looks like a clockwork mechanism. It looks like a fucking Death Knight. It looks like it's made out of Legos. This looks like a fucking crazy Bionicle. It's all gold. It appears to be certainly a futuristic or maybe just medieval inspired looking rider on a horse. There's a lot of indecipherable pieces here, but also a lot of quality that affords it, art. It looks very artistic. If I could hazard a guess, I'd say like connects is what this looks like. There's a very like horse-like wolf creature and a rider knight. On the helmet itself, there's like a spike. The knight appears to be holding like a, one of those small whips that you use for horseback riding. Everything here looks to be mechanical inspired. So all of the connects pieces, quote unquote, are very spindly and there's just so many pieces used. It's a very artistic sculpture. The dog or wolf or horse itself also appears to have spike-like ears. The background, just a plain eggshell white, and then we got like a trim with what appears to be paint, and then the bottom floor is just mauve brown. Okay. 210420 double blank. One image, tractor, later identified as a universal model, on the porch of the Belgorod Regional Study Museum in Russia. A very blue image. Yeah, it looks like a tractor. Maybe just like a typical plain flat floor. You can barely tell what anything is, but there's like a floor-like surface. There's a small barrier wall. And yes, a tractor with like road tires, peace sign steering wheel. In the background, you have like a couple columns and what appears to be like a block wall with windows. 110920 double blank, 41 images. 13 images show a funeral mass in a church, later determined to be St. Jerome, Noordwijk, Netherlands. The rest depict a burial of a man in the aforementioned church graveyard. The man was later determined to be D blank I blank, chief structural engineer of the Invictus Mars rover project. Data lost. 120920 double blank, one image. Gravestone of D blank I blank. The image is smudged. Some dark liquid stains were present on the camera lens at the moment of filming. Later investigation found 206 tracks near the grave and 2 redacted of unknown breed. Data lost. 240220 double blank. One image. Mount Rushmore with the face of Jefferson Davis instead of Abraham Lincoln. One of the first photographs to depict an Earth different from the original. Okay, it's kind of hard to tell, but it is a photo of Mount Rushmore in color. I'm not really like a fan of history with the president, so I can't even tell. 030720 double blank, one image, Moscow Kremlin. The image appears to be taken from the Greater Stone Bridge. The walls and towers are white, although judging by the vegetation and people caught on film, the time the image was taken is consistent with the time it was received. Data lost. 010820 double blank, one image. A small football field, exact location unknown. It should be noted that all people and some objects depicted are lacking shadows. 206-9.jpg. It does appear to be like some sports field. There's a lot of greenery in the background. It's an overcast gray sky day. There's a few blotches that appear to be humanoid. Towards the back left of the image, like close to the viewer, left, forward left, bottom left, what appears to be like a small lake or like a lake of water or lake of cement. There's a just oval-esque circle in the center of the image which indicates dirt. It appears to be the splotches are maybe 6 humanoids. Maybe a few others on the grass. The whole image appears to be just a local town area near a park. Not too much to describe about it. 1509-20 double blank, 1 image, Taj Mahal, Agra, India. Judging by the perspective the image was taken from the main spire, the structure doesn't look any different from the one we know. But the domes are adorned with gilded symbols that don't belong to any known alphabet. Data lost. 3011-20 double blank, 8. The moon, Copernicus crater. Japanese space probe Kaguya has caught 206 on camera here approximately at the same time. 206-10.jpg. It's a very unclear image. It's a very, very simple image of black on the top fifth. The rest of the image is what appears to be a celestial body from a very far viewpoint. There's a little bit of darkness towards the bottom right of the image, just shading. Small crater towards the top fifth on the horizon. On the second fifth on that horizon itself. Towards the center of the image, there's just a little bit of slight whiteness demonstrating the crater's area. That's Kaguya's, that's a Copernicus crater. 0101-20 double blank, 1 image, data expunge. And it's just 206-12.jpg. It appears to be a photo of the sun on a very blue sky day. The only real notable factors here, the bottom left appears to have like some distortion pattern or something going on in the sky. It's unclear what it even is. 1101-20 double blank, 1 image, primary coolant circuit of a nuclear reactor from the inside, data lost. 0903-20 double blank, 1 image, data expunged. 206-13.jpg. It is a photo of what appears to be the moon. That is like a surface of a celestial body. You can see what appears to be the Earth in the distance. It is a color photograph. You can slightly tell if that is the Earth, that it is like, you know, kind of bluish. The only notable things here, in the foreground, the main subject of the photo is what appears to be a dilapidated battleship, or maybe even a spaceship which appears to be a conventional battleship. The reason I say dilapidated, towards the front of the ship, it seems to have what looks like a structure. Part of it is carved out with what looks to be a swath. I mean, against the inky blackness of space, at least. And what seems to be like oil spilled out of the ship against the side. I don't know. Closer to the bottom left of the image is what appears to be hull, or just some random rocks or something. It's hard to tell what it is, but some objects are closer to the camera. Parallax, sort of like, you know, on the same plane as where you can see the Earth, but at the same distance point as the ship, just a little further out, you can see a black marking. You can see some other black markings a little closer to the camera, but they don't really seem to have the same effect. Maybe they're just rocks or depressions, but there is a delta of black objects towards the camera. Let's see. 1303-20 double blank. One image. Temple of Khafre, Giza, Egypt. Judging by the perspective, the image was taken from the Great Sphinx's nasal bridge. Data lost. 0706-20 20 double blank, 1 image. 2 broken TV sets with a house cat, Felis sylvestris catus, sitting on one of them, looking sideways. 204-14, 206-14.jpg. True. The description does appear to be true. It is a color photograph. There's nothing too much of note aside from the cat seems to be small or a toy cat, or maybe even like a sculpture. Behind the TV on the left, there's like some object, some cylindrical object, sprouting out just slightly up the ceiling. On the far left, there is like partial wall next to that other TV. Both TV models are very similar, but they're not the same. And in front of the rightmost TV, as well as like to the side of the rightmost TV, on the right side, there's some foliage. Who knows what it is? I'm assuming in front of the TV is foliage, but on the right is definitely what appears to be green foliage. Maybe just some scuff in front of the rightmost TV. Okay. 2407 20 double blank, 1 image. A deceased man lying in what looks like a coffin. The man was presumed to be P blank F blank, a known actor, but at the moment the image was taken, he was alive. Data lost. 2907 20 double blank, 1 image. A scattering flock of doves. The place was later recognized to be the Cathedral Square, Belgorod, Russia. 206-15.jpg. It is definitely an image of society. It's a color photo. It is a lot of what appear to be doves, pigeons, whatever. Not doves, definitely pigeons. Birds taking flight or even just roosting in the middle of a large city area. On the left, you can see a massive block structure with what appears to be like a water tower, either in the distance or on top of it. At the floor level, you can see a bunch of trees or cars. Along that building structure, you can see more building. Near it, you can see just black. I don't know if that's further birds or some structure. Towards the middle of the image, you can see just further out more buildings, and then towards the far right, just growing, is a lot of trees. 1608 20 double blank. 1. A lot of dead fish at an unknown place. Data lost. 3110 20 double blank. 1. A view of a tank driver's seat. The interior looks like a mouse. Super heavy tank. But a lot more modern. Data lost. 1912 20 double blank. 1. Data expunged. Data lost. You get one of those for free. 2603 20 double blank. 9 images. An architectural ensemble that looks like Forum of Augustus, Rome, Italy, but in pristine condition. One of the photographs depicts an electronic display installed next to the building presumed to be the Mars altar temple. The image shows some text on an unknown dialect of Chinese scrolling on the display. Partial translation reads, "Hail, Mars, the Savior, great helmsman who led ... and raised the celestial empire, ? 100 flowers, ? May your spear strike, ? Shields to cover us." Data lost. Hi guys, hey, welcome. Glad to see you, Mr. Banana Man. 0204 20 double blank, 3 images. Interior of Kostnice Church, Kutna Hora, Czech Republic. The interior looks like the actual church, but some of the skulls can be seen having 3 eye sockets. 206-18.jpg. The image is almost completely indecipherable. It's more of like a work of art, if anything. Lots of browns and oranges, yellows, whites, grays. It does look like a mausoleum of some sort with like a litany of corpses and spines, but I have no idea. I barely even know what the fuck that could be, okay? 0404 20 double blank 1 image of view of Lopan River from the window of Kharkov National University building. Judging by the perspective, the building is at least 10 stories taller than the actual one, although the background corresponds to the date the picture was taken, data lost. Euclid, extraterrestrial, international, robotic, transmission, uncontained visual. Interesting, this is like kind of a remote viewing, alternate parallel dimension kind of thing. Okay, there's an image. The caption for the image just says SCP-207-C. The image itself appears to be a standard glass Coca-Cola bottle. The background is a gradient of just soft white gold glow with the primary glow towards the back of the cola on Coca-Cola. Zooming in on the image, I see an expiry date on the glass. It says Best Buy and it's indecipherable. Sell by, indecipherable. The top of the cap seems standard. It's red with folded aluminum or whatever metal. The glass seems standard. There appears to be even a little bit of cola stained on the inside of the top. The cola itself has no fizzy quality, so it could be that it's completely flat. It appears to just be completely without any carbonation, so maybe it hasn't been shaken or anything. The label itself, this glass appears to be an older Coca-Cola, so maybe like 1980s. The label itself, though, is a depression in the glass framework. That is to say, it's a handle on the glass. The logo itself is a rectangular area depressed on the grip areas folded on the glass elsewhere. Coca-Cola is what the logo says, registered trademark. Slight scrolling in says EC Berse 200 ml. So I'm assuming this is a Germanic language. Further scrolling down, it really just appears to be a standard Coca-Cola bottle casting light on a surface. SCP-207.jpg is the name of the image. Hey, hope you're enjoying so far. We're not going to go too much longer. Item number 207, Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. 207 is to be stored in a waterproofed locking metal container measuring 1 meter by 0.5 meters by 0.5 meters. The key is to be issued to the current head researcher of Site Double Blank's biocontainment area. 207 is to be retained inside this area at all times, and all personnel entering the area should be checked for any food or drink items, in addition to any other searches required. Any staff seen ingesting 207-1 are to be retained for future study, with all Foundation clearance levels removed. Okay, don't drink this if you want to keep your clearance. All vending machines in Site Double Blank are to only dispense clear carbonated beverages. Any variation from transparent is to be investigated immediately. Description: 207 refers to a crate containing 24 Coca-Cola brand cola drinks. The bottles are designated 207-A to -X. 207-B is currently the active bottle for testing, and no other bottles are to be opened without authorization from 2 Level 4 researchers. All bottles have been clearly labeled to aid identification. The liquid held inside these has been confirmed to be identical across all 207 and should not be ingested outside of supervised testing. The liquid has been classified as 207-1 and is to be treated as a Class 2 chemical hazard. 207-1 does not appear to alter with age. However, the active testing bottle should have its protective cover kept on outside of removing liquid for testing. Mass spectroscopy and chemical tests have shown higher than usual concentrations of caffeine and sugars, both natural and artificial, along with redacted. The practical effect of this: when a subject drinks 207-1, they will effectively no longer require sleep or rest, nor attempt to sleep or rest. This effect is not lessened by any soporific or medication yet tested on test subjects. However, only a quantity larger than 5 millimeters, However, only a quantity larger than 5 milliliters will cause this effect. The reason for this lower boundary existing has not been found, although is hypothesized by Dr. C. Blank that redacted. As such, unless authorized by 2 level 3 researchers, only 5 milliliters of 207-1 is to be used for testing. Amounts higher than this have shown no difference in effect, with the exception of the subject 207 was recovered from. See addendum. In addition to removing the need for rest, 207-1 also causes an increase in motor, reaction, and psychological functions. The increase is linear in progression, with an estimated 50% increase, measured by standard medical protocols, plus or minus 5%, every 6 hours. The practical application of ingestion is that the subject is able to think, react, and move faster than others who have not ingested 207-1. Mental proficiencies show the IQ of the subject to rise in line with other increases. Coca-Cola did it. They made fucking super drink. They made super caffeine. However, 207-1 does not alter the body of affected subjects. Physiology remains unchanged, and as such can rarely support the increase in activity. No subjects have lasted longer than 48 hours during the testing. No subjects have lasted longer than 48 hours during testing, with the cause of death varying from massive internal organ failure to exsanguination due to major artery ruptures. Subjects also begin to show stress after roughly 24 hours, usually making each movement extremely carefully in order to avoid accidents. Tests 207 alpha and Rho have shown that Tests 207-alpha and -Rho have shown that after approximately 24 hours, the increases caused by 207-1 mean subjects can easily underestimate their speed. Most specifically, in test 207-Rho, the subject was able to escape the containment area despite a 5 meter wall. However, this caused the test subject's internal bone structure data expunged. Addendum 207 was recovered from blank college after reports of student blank blank moving from failing grades in all areas, including physical sports, to top percentile marks and record-breaking performances in physical areas. Agent blank embedded in the local police force brought blank blank in for an interview. I can't fucking read. Agent blank embedded in the local police force brought blank blank in for interview. Subject revealed the existence of 207 during the interview. However, escape attempt while Class A amnestics were being administered resulted in the subject violently data expunged. Cause of death: organ failure due to massive internal hemorrhage. As 207A was empty on recovery, it is believed ingesting a full bottle redacted. 207 recovered from subject's home. 207A already empty. Blank reported to a local police force as missing person. No further cause for surveillance of blank college required at this time. He drank all the super caffeine. Food, liquid, mind-affecting, safe, transfiguration. Safe is, that's debatable. That's debatable. Safe is debatable. Okay, there's an image. 208. Sculpture of 208 found close to the Nile Delta is what the caption is. It appears to be a sculpture of like a classic deity from old times, maybe BC era. In the background, we see just a blue sky, column, lots of blocky, rocky brick structures, a ruined open area in the brick, another brick wall structure. And then closer to the foreground, we see like a large brick object. I don't know. Smaller brick object. A lot of strewn about rocks. And then a small plinth and a large rock structure with the carved deity, quote unquote, on it. It looks like a monkey figure or something. The character has rosy cheeks, which is, to say that the cheeks probably have some paint on them. The ears have some type of like odd horizontal and vertical lattice. The top being vertical, the lower being horizontal. The eyebrows are quite defined. The eyes have either faded or almost next to no visible iris, sclera, etc. Realistic nose, mouth. There's a large beard. It's a very broom fan looking beard. The subject has what appears to be a bangle around the shoulders and a pendant in front of the chest. The nipples are visible, but the subject's right nipple, as if we were looking at them, it would be the leftmost. If we were them, it would be their rightmost. The rightmost nipple is degraded on the statue. You can't see it. There's a belly button. There is a lack of sexual organs. The subject is quite short, or the knees up to the shin is just where it ends. Their arms are on their hips. You can make out some digits on one hand. The other hand is completely degraded. It's the left hand from our perspective, or the subject's right hand that isn't degraded. Both shoulders appear to have either a tattoo, a bangle, or maybe it's just muscle. Quite a muscular person. You can see some shadow behind the sculpture. Okay, 208, object class, safe, special containment procedures. Due to his docile manner, minimum containment procedures are to be applied to 208. 208 is to be housed in a 10 meter by 10 meter room decorated in traditional Egyptian style, furnished with a single couch and a stereo system stocked with music of North African origin of any era. Surveillance is to be maintained during all movement outside of containment. 208 is approved to operate at Site 17's medical wing. Description: 208 appears to be a short, stout man of Egyptian heritage, possessing a great deal of hair over much of his body. Along his brows a mane similar to a lion's in shape and color, which grows down to a significant beard. 208 typically wears an Egyptian tunic, similar to that of typical Old Kingdom military, although occasionally this is replaced by modern military fatigues. 208 is capable of inducing rapid cellular regeneration and reconfiguration within organic life forms, which amounts to the ability to quickly and effectively heal most physical ailments. This is performed by a unique form of electromagnetic radiation released from 208's body, which acts on a wavelength that oscillates with 4 degrees of freedom rather than 3. The electromagnetic radiation displays unusual pulse phenomena. Furthermore, the energy of the radiation decays over distance in a fashion incompatible with the inverse squared model. This radiation is emitted from 208 naturally in small doses and can be released in greater amounts when focused. Personnel have noted that being near 208 provokes a feeling of wellness and ease, making him quite popular with the security staff. This radiation also possesses the ability of warding off ill intent, to the point of acting as a physical barrier to naturally malicious beings. What causes this is unknown, but MRI scanning of Class D personnel taken from death row in the presence of 208 detected an unidentifiable pattern of neurons firing. This activity coincided with a feeling of extreme unease on behalf of the subject as he tried to flee the secure containment chamber. It is speculated that the neural activity activates the acute stress response in human subjects, stimulating the fight-or-flight instinct. What causes it to affect non-human subjects is still unknown. So, like different methods of interaction, modes of activation. Despite his appearance, 208 is jovial and friendly to staff and enjoys the company of others. Due to his good behavior and willingness to cooperate, 208 has been permitted access to most common areas within Site 17. Known to most staff as Bez, 208 has been adopted as an assistant in the medical wing of Site-17, a position he seems to have fit into naturally. 208 is also fond of children and has been noted to be very protective of what he considers the innocent. The only thing to inspire aggressive behavior from 208 has been snakes, for which he has expressed a deep hatred. 208 was originally discovered in Blank, Egypt, during a search for SCP Triple Blank along the Nile River. While SCP agents began digging into sediment in the Nile Delta, Dr. Blank spotted a foot sticking out of the riverbed. Further excavation revealed that it was connected to a great block of granite, recovered and brought into Sector Double Blank. 208 was exhumed from the stone after surprising a researcher who discovered that he was still alive. After examination had been concluded, 208 was moved to Site-17 as a safe class SCP. Addendum 208A. Comparison testing of 500 showed that it still serves as a much more effective cure. 208 commented that he still tells much. 208 commented that he tells better jokes. Holy fuck, I can't talk. Alive, humanoid, medical, safe, sapient. Kind of seems like the Healing Hands Reiki concept, but it's like a fourth radiation vector. And it doesn't work on inverse squared, so it's just Healing Hands. God, this is fucking long. 209, item number 209, object class Euclid, special containment procedures. 209 is to be held in a 0.5 meter by 0.5 meter by 0.5 meter pressure-sealed storage locker, insulated to prevent any potential aroma from release to the surrounding area. Access to 209 is limited to a single Class 2 or higher staff member for any transport. A standard security detail should accompany any transport of 209 at a distance of at least 23 meters. No more than 1 human subject of any classification should be within the minimum safe distance of 20 meters of 209 at any time outside of a research trial setting. As current hypotheses regarding the function of 209's active phase indicate enticement to use through olfactory manipulation of some kind, any staff assigned to research, trial, or security detail should be equipped with personal air filtration devices rated at Foundation standards of at least Euclid 3, HEPA filter, oil resistant. Research has approved the use of the prototype modular keycard system, SC Passport, stylistically typed like SC Passport, for 209 storage locking mechanism. The keycard for 209 storage is modified with a proximity alarm and deactivation protocol to enforce the single user only containment mandate. If more than one human subject is detected in the proximity of both the keycard device and lock, a level 1 containment breach alarm will be sounded and the locking system disabled to prevent removal of 209 from its storage locker. Description: 209 appears to be a single malt scotch tumbler, 10 centimeters in height, and with an 8 centimeter diameter at its widest point. The tumbler shows no manufacturer's marks, but does indicate signs of moderate to heavy use and light wear, including a small chip missing from the rim. When not in the possession of a human subject, the tumbler contains approximately 88 to 91 milliliters, 3 ounces, of an unknown golden brown translucent liquid. This liquid cannot be siphoned, spilled, drained, evaporated, or otherwise removed from 209 by any means other than a human subject taking hold of the tumbler and consuming the liquid. All activator subjects debriefed following a sampling of the liquid produced by 209 are reported to be alcoholic in nature and providing a sense of warmth, self-assurance, and general well-being. This effect has proven to be highly addictive, with methadone therapy currently holding the highest rates of success for detoxification from 209's effects. For 209 to enter its active phase, 3 conditions must be met. Bullet. At least 2 (2) human subjects must be within 20 (20) meters of 209. Bullet. At least 1 (1) of the human subjects must have a normal functioning sense of smell and detect 209's aroma. Anosmic test subjects have been unable to initiate the active phase. Bullet. The subject who first detected the odor of 209 must take possession of the tumbler and consume any amount of the liquid within it. Hereby, activator subject. Once these conditions are met, 209 enters its active phase. The activator subject will immediately seek a relaxing or comfortable position in which to finish the liquid in 209 at a leisurely pace. Any other human subject within 20 meters of the activator subject, hereafter prey subject, will be locked into 2 distinct physical parameters for the duration of the active phase. Bullet. Prey subjects will be physically incapable of moving more than 20 meters away from the activator once ingestion has begun. Bullet. Prey subjects will be physically incapable of moving closer than 1 meter to the activator once ingestion has begun. All current attempts at moving any prey subject beyond these boundaries while living have met with failure. Any human subject entering the 20 meter sphere of 209's influence after the activator and prey subjects have been established are not affected. Any descriptive word or phrase used in reference to 209 by the activator subject during the active phase will physically reflect upon the prey subject in a variety of ways. See experiment logs 209-6.2 through 209-33.8 for details. Activator subjects seem aware of both the boundary restrictions imposed on prey subjects as well as the physical effect of their descriptive language, but no matter the scale of physical harm or distress inflicted upon prey subjects, activator subjects seem to retain a light, amused demeanor. It is theorized that the effects of 209 inflicts on prey subjects is intended as a form of entertainment for the activator subject to enjoy while experiencing 209's intoxicating effects. So it's like alcoholic thaumaturgic ambrosia. It's very addictive, but it gives thaumaturgy qualities. When the activator subject has consumed all the liquid within 209, both boundary parameters are nullified. If still capable of motion, former prey subjects can and do flee the area with as much speed as possible. The activator subject will immediately become confused by the now empty 209 and attempt to refill it with any available liquid. If the activator is successful in filling 209 with approximately 88 to 91 milliliters, 3 ounces, of any liquid, it will transmute into another glass of golden brown, translucent alcohol, and the cycle begins again provided there is another potential prey subject in range. If prey subjects or others disable or remove 209 from the activator before they are able to refill it, 209 will exit the active phase and remain empty and inert for approximately 79 hours before refilling itself by unknown means to potentially begin a new active phase. Addendum. Experiment log 209-18.4 3 Class D subjects appropriated for testing. 25 meters by 25 meters by 6 meter room. Furnished with a single steel folding chair and 209. Activator subject designated D-Act. Prey subjects designated D-Prey-1 and D-Prey-2. Log begins 122 seconds following D-Act ingestion of SCP-209. 122 seconds. D-Act seats himself in the single chair provided in the room. D-Prey-1 approaches D-Act. D-Prey-2 begins exploring the room's boundary. 188 seconds. D-Prey-1 discovers the inner boundary and is unable to approach D-Act. 194 seconds. D-Prey-2 discovers the outer boundary and is unable to reach the eastern wall. 227 seconds. D-Prey-1 begins shouting obscenities and attempts to strike D-Act. No effect. D-Prey 2 attempts to map the outer boundary. 2:55 seconds. D-Act describes 209 as smoky. 2:58 seconds. D-Prey 1 begins coughing violently. D-Prey 2 approaches. 2:84 seconds. D-Prey 1 collapses, racked with violent coughs. An unknown black smoke-like gas is expelled from his mouth with each cough. D-Prey 2 attempts to approach D-Act. 299 seconds. D-Act describes 209 as smooth. 302 seconds. D-Prey 2 appears to begin sweating profusely. D-Prey 1 continues coughing spasms. Expulsion of smoke-like substance continues from mouth, nose, eyes. My theory was mostly correct. 363 seconds. D-Prey 2 exuding a thick layer of viscous, near frictionless substance from all pores. Substance has eroded clothing and apparently the first layer of epidermis. My god. D-Prey 2 is unable to remain standing, falls. It attempts to staunch the flow of the unknown substance from his pores. D-Prey 1 apparently expired. Smoke-like substance continues to vent from mouth, nose, eyes. D-Act applauds intermittently. I don't think it might even be like they've realized that like what they're doing is happening and they like notice the power. It's like addicting to the point that it's like delirium. 484 seconds. Viscous substance exuded from D-Prey 2 has eroded two additional layers of skin. Wounds approximate to second and third degree burns. D-Prey 2 expresses desire to be terminated. Request denied. D-Act appears fixated on the remaining liquid of 209. 522 seconds. D-Prey 2 expires. Substance appears to cease exuding from pores. D-Prey 1 ceases to expel smoke-like substance. D-Act continues drinking 209. 948 seconds. D-Act consumes the last of 209. Immediately stands and rushes to the body of D-Prey 1. Begins clawing at the corpse with left hand, while maintaining hold of 209 with the right. 954 seconds. Researchers determine that D-Act is attempting to refill 209 with blood from the corpse of D-Prey 1. Per orders 1 security staff member enters and neutralizes D-Act, recovering 209 still in its empty state. Holy fuck. Either they knew or like they were going to get the blood anyway, but that was the first thing I thought of. Addictive, artifact, ectoentropic, Euclid, mind-affecting, rewrite. Alright, and the last one for tonight, 210. Much shorter, thank you. 210, item number 210, object class safe, special containment procedures. The property containing 210 has been designated as Site Triple Blank. The primary responsibility of guards on Site Triple Blank is to prevent entry by trespassers and maintain the cover story detailed in Document 210-01. The servants' quarters adjacent to 210 have been deemed safe for human habitation and may be used for on-site housing. A remotely controlled vehicle is to be sent into 210 on a monthly basis to catalog any changes. Description: 210 is a two-story mansion flooded to a depth of 4.35 meters with an unknown fluid substance. The substance, designated 210-01, possesses a refractive index nearly identical to water. The fluid is invisible from the outside of 210 and does not flow out of 210 if a door or window is opened. Any living creature that comes into contact with 210-01 enters a sleep-like state and begins drifting through 210-01 as if neutrally buoyant. Beings trapped in this manner are designated 210-02, and to date, double-blank instances of 210-02 have been cataloged by remote means. Instances of 210-02 emit a constant stream of bubbles, as if exhaling despite no source of air being identified and subjects appearing to breathe as normal. This is like the healing liquid, but maybe not. This is like the breathing liquid. Subjects have been noted to move through 210 slowly as if dancing. It has not been determined if this is under the power of the subjects or of microcurrents within 210-01. 210 came to the attention of the Foundation when an agent embedded in the Blank County Police Department received a number of related missing persons reports. Mobile Task Force Iota 12, Damn Feds, was dispatched to intercept the investigations. The disappearances were quickly traced to a party held at 210 on ..20 with several subsequent disappearances resulting from persons undergoing private investigations. 2 team members were lost on initial contact with 210, the first when entering through the front door and the second while attempting to recover the first. The full documentation of this investigation can be found in document 210-01. Addendum 210-01. Attempts to remove 210-02 from 210-01 have failed, as instances of 210-02 which reach the edge of 210-01 will not travel any further. Instances of 210-02 cannot be damaged. This property extends to clothing, evidenced by remote attempts to harvest sample material. Furniture and other inanimate objects within 210-01 behave as if in normal atmospheric conditions and may be removed from the residence. Removed items show no anomalies. Addendum 210-02. The remote observation of 210 on ..20 was unable to locate 210-02-07. Note: we have been completely unable to locate 210-07 on subsequent observations. A request has been placed for tracking devices in case of further disappearances. Researcher B. Blank. Building, liquid, safe, sleep. Safe's debatable on that. And that's going to do it for reading the SCP Foundation Wiki tonight. Hey, I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a blast for me. And yeah, that's going to do it for me, homies. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for enjoying another session of this. And I'm going. See you in the next one. Peace out. Farewell for now.